Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Gabriella Piazza about the Many Saints of Newark, which is going to be available in theaters October 1st. Thank you for doing this. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
It's an exciting time. We were talking before we started as well. I mean, I remember when this project was announced, like without like any casting info or like trailers, like it was announced and it was a big deal. Now it finally, had a trailer, has a release date. It's Calm Before the Storm. How are you feeling right now? It's almost coming out.
I feel so excited. I can't wait for diehard Soprano fans to watch it. People who've never seen it before to watch it. It's got a place in everybody's heart. And I think it's just an epic Italian-American crime drama that we need right now. So I'm pumped.
Absolutely. We're going to get into it, obviously, in your character. But for you, storytelling, acting, did that start at a young age? Did you have an idea you wanted to do that at a young age, Gabriella?
In my heart of hearts, yes. But I have a little bit of an interesting off the beaten path story. I, growing up, my mom has thrown me in theater camps and, still to this day, she'd be like, I told you were going to do this. But I actually went the corporate route. So I was a VP of sales for a tech company, and I had met someone who's very, very special to my heart, and they were doing this acting thing, right? And I had never seen it before. Growing up, I'd only seen people go to college, get a job, do your thing. And so I finally met this person who was using the corporate world as a side hustle to do what they truly loved. And I had always had this creative itch. I had always done sketches with my friends, was always watching movies, making movies on our big old cameras. And about 5 years ago, I quit my job, started my own production company, and here we are.
Absolutely. You're the first. Usually there's some people that, say like, I studied law, or I wasn't really like I didn't study acting, but I was in another field. And I go, you're the first guest to be like, I was in a tech company.
Yeah.
Actor. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, tech baby. Here we are.
That is amazing. It's interesting as well because this is going to be this is an origin story. This is a prequel to The Sopranos. And I think origin stories are very hot right now. People love those. It's a huge thing now in TV and in film. But this is an origin story of like arguably one of the greatest TV shows of all time. So what do you think about all of that? And what do you think about what fans can expect from this origin story of The Sopranos?
Yeah, I think, David Chase and Lawrence Connor, who wrote the screenplay, have always had such a love for this character, Dickie Moltisanti, who you never see, but they talk about literally all the time.
It's true, yeah.
They're always talking about him. For Sopranos fans and people, who haven't seen it, everybody, to get a glimpse into what, was such this character who didn't really exist in the show, now to become like on the screen, I think is going to be so beautiful for people to watch. And also to see Tony Soprano, right? Sort of a different side of Tony Soprano.
Yeah.
You don't see this Tony Soprano in the show. You see why Tony Soprano is Tony Soprano. And of course, Michael Gandolfini, my dear friend, and William Ludwig, who also plays him in the movie, do such a beautiful job of that. And I'm so excited for everybody to see it.
Absolutely. And you're gonna play Dickie's wife in the film, correct?
I am. I'm Joanne.
What can you tell us about Joanne and what we can expect without any spoilers? Is there anything?
Yeah, Joanne is out there. I told a lot of, you don't see her a lot in the show, but other than when you see her like a few times and how Christopher speaks about her. So I pulled a lot of inspiration from Michael Imperioli and what he does with Christopher, right? Who would create this product that is Christopher, right? Who is that? And she's out there. She's she's your typical loud Italian wife and really wants a baby, and she's great. I think people like her.
Has the cast and crew talked a little bit about this? I mean, people are going to get a chance to see this film. There's a lot of excitement. People want to see it. But I'm curious if you probably ask a lot of the cast and the crew, there's different kind of takeaways. Or when I ask the question, what are you hoping they get out of it when they watch Many Saints Newark? Have you thought about that at all in terms of takeaways or what you're expecting the audience to get when they watch this film?
I think people are going to walk away being like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Just honestly, it's an epic. It's an Italian American epic crime drama that, like I said earlier, is just needed right now, I think. And it's also set in such this tumultuous time in Newark, New Jersey. And then you have the brilliance of David Chase and Lawrence Connor and all of the incredible cast and crew adding such a spectacle to an incredible TV show, right? Like it's just people are gonna sit back, and it flies. It flies. It's an hour and 46 minutes. It moves. And people, when they leave, I remember leaving and being like, and I was in it.
Yeah.
So I hope that people just walk away, and it's a conversation topic, like we were talking about earlier, that people are going to talk about later as well.
Absolutely. People were talking about the announcement like years ago. Like people were talking about the fact that this was like announced. Like I remember that. I remember that being brought up, that it was going to be a thing, and who was casted and like all this stuff, and like Ray Liotta got added to it. It was like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like I remember those days.
Yeah.
Which is really exciting. It's interesting because they're saying we're in like the golden age of television. There's so many amazing shows and everything. And it's funny because I remember, there's all these shows that are coming out right now, all the different streaming platforms, but The Sopranos was kind of before that time, where it kind of had that, it was like that show that everyone looked forward to every weekend, basically, to watch. And now it's kind of resurfacing a little bit, but I don't think the show has ever had a shelf life. I don't think so. Did you guys ever talk about that? Like when you were like working on this project? I mean, the show, I'm trying to think when the finale was, but I mean, it's years ago, but it's still good. The show was talked about all the time.
Yeah. We talked about that for sure. And I think, I serendipitously started watching for the first time in 2019. I had never watched it before. And I was just like, you know what? I need to get on this, train with everybody. And I remember watching it and being like, oh my gosh, this does live up to the hype. And just like you said, right? The Sopranos really put, my opinion, people are going to fight me on this, but I think it put HBO on the map, right? And then, people will say it's The Wire, which is fantastic as well, but it really created that anti-hero, that story, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's ever had a shelf life. David Chase, recently said in an interview that people have been coming up to him saying, my son just started watching your show and all of these things. And it doesn't ever have a shelf life. And I think that is the beauty of, and the brilliance behind that show.
100%. I'm curious about the mindset of kind of two situations for Gabriella Piazza. The mindset of like when you wrap the project, like when you're done filming it, because it depends. Sometimes, there are longer days, shorter days. It depends on each project. What's the mindset like when you wrap it? And then what's the mindset like now that it's finally coming out and everyone's going to have a chance to see it?
Right. Well, we had 2 technical wraps because we have COVID-19. So we wrapped and then we did reshoots, which were amazing. And wrapping that was totally incredible. I mean, Michael Gandolfini did such a beautiful job and of making us all feel like family on that set. He really walked on and introduced himself to everybody, even little old me, at the table read. And we all just were like there as a family. So that was sad to leave that with all of those incredible people. But now, there's a little bit of admitted anxiety, right? You want everybody to love it. But I'm also just hyped. I'm hyped for everybody to see the hard work that everybody on this movie put into it. And it's just going to be, it's just exciting. It's exciting and you're anxious, right? You're like, oh, just come out. And I want to hear how amazing everybody thinks it is.
You work on this Italian crime drama epic that you talked about, and you're acting in it, but you see all the writing and directing, the behind the scenes that goes into this project. Does that kind of excite you a little bit, or give you the possibility of maybe one day going behind the camera and write and direct? Or is acting obviously something you want to focus on right now?
No, I mean, my first film I ever made, I actually executive produced and got to have some writing on. And I love being behind the camera. I mean, in any aspect of filmmaking, right? So, I mean, I'll be happy to go get coffee for people if I get to be on a set, or literally hold a bounce board. I don't care what it is. I mean, right now I do, if I had to choose, it would definitely be to act, because I love storytelling and that aspect. But that being said, getting together with crew that you love and friends and making movies happen and being behind that camera and understanding the business of film. And if, yeah, you're an actor, but if we don't have a gaffer, the movie's not being made. And understanding the importance of that crew and how hard they work to make everything happen has been incredible. And I love that aspect of filmmaking as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And they're saying, that content like film and TV, we're at like an unbelievable time right now, because a lot of people talk about the streaming aspect, like the access to streaming. And I personally think it's the global aspect of it. Like you look at a lot of shows and movies, like 190 countries all around the world have access to this instantly, which is crazy. But the way these films are shot and the way they look and like all of that is just like the cinematographers, just the directors of photography just hit it out of the park. Like it's incredible.
It's really incredible. I mean, I'm watching C on Apple TV right now with Jason Momoa. I just flew through the first season. I'm on second season. But like Stephen Knight and Francis Lawrence, like, and just the cinematography, it's literally like you're watching a movie. It's brilliant. And it's so epic. And I'm so excited for that caliber of storytelling everywhere. I know it's a little inundating, but I think it's just epic to be able to turn on your TV and watch something so beautiful.
It just blows my mind that, especially like Netflix always comes to mind too, because it's just like 190 countries have access to Netflix. And just the fact that it drops, like a show will drop like on a Friday and then all the different time zones, like everywhere. Exactly.
It's time.
Depending where you are, you wake up and it's like fresh, like it just came out, but there's a lot of people that have already binged it.
Right, exactly. Where are you? Like, have you seen it or not? What can I tell you? What can I?
And with your tech background, do you also, because that's another thing too, I think people don't realize too. It's like a hybrid of like Netflix, Apple, they're like HBO Max, they're television networks, but they're also tech companies too.
Right.
It's an app.
Right. It's literal apps, and they understand why and where and how long and for what reasons you're watching that show, right?
Do people forget about that, do you think sometimes? I'm interested to hear about that for your tech background.
I think so. I think like when you get to that's why you have like certain profiles on Netflix, right? Because it's going to aggregate the content, drama, comedy, what you like, and they're going to push that content that falls into your past habits of watching those shows in front of you. And I don't think it's a bad thing. People want to watch what they like. I mean, I love not having to think. When I turn on Netflix, I'm like, oh yeah, I do want to watch that because I just watched Minority Report 5 minutes ago. Great. Thank you so much. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I wanted to thank you so much for coming on Popternative to chat about Many Saints of Newark. Thank you.
Thank you. I've had such a blast. And like I said earlier before we started recording, best voice ever.
Oh, I really appreciate that. So the film is going to be available in theaters October 1st, which is really exciting. And where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
On the old Instagram. I have an Instagram. I haven't yet made the TikTok, but it's Gabriella Piazza _. So yeah, you can find me there.
Amazing. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Gabriella Piazza, who you're going to catch in Many Saints of Newark, coming out October 1st, and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.